Would you like to connect with the moon? Well, you're in luck because my energy goes deep with the moon. And maybe, since you're watching this, yours does too. If you'd like to go deeper than this video does, feel free to book a session with me and we can go deep dive. And hi, I'm Nicole. I'm an energy mentor. I specialize in helping you find more about your energy and all these other energies to find out more about your energy. Welcome to Practicing with Energies, where you choose which energies you'd like to practice with. And I do a video to introduce you to the energies a little bit more. So when I connected with the moon, I automatically connected with Sin. Another name in Sumerian culture and myths is Nana. When you look him up, he's into cows and bulls. You'll see a little half moon. You can see someone did an AI kind of thing of him. And he is always with his wife and collaborator, and her name is Nagal. She brings the flow of this process that they worked on, and he brings the full-on process. So support and the actual process. Like the possibilities, she brings the possibilities and he brings the process and organization. So why get connected with the moon and him and in general? Well, there is one thing. Because you have to go through all the layers, this is with anything you learn about, there's a layer of the human layer of what people can see or what they can sense. And so even if they're sensing things that are very different and abstract, they're going to still bring it to their layer of an understanding. Some of the things that people talk about is a hollow moon. Some of them talk about beings that are stationed there. These are all human personified things that people have been observing. So the reason why you would get connected is because if you get connected with Sin/Nana, or you want to just get, find out more about the moon and get just the feeling of it, you're on the right track. Because with astrology, people are obsessed with your birthday, and the birthday is only that specific arrangement, right? And every single day and every single second of the day, we are streaming from the planets, and we're streaming from other celestial spheres, and we're streaming from everything because we're streaming beings. So if we start to understand and start with the moon, you can start to understand what you're streaming, what you streamed when you were born, when you started your creations of who you are today as a human. What were you streaming then? Like what did you come from? So this doesn't tell you where you came from, because it tells you what you took a piece of yourself and came from, if that makes sense. And so that's why only one, and just identifying with one or three of those things is not enough. And a lot of people do know that when they're into astrology. So you can think of it as a place that is streaming. Now, this is why you will get connected, because you can go past all those layers and you can see what it means to you. And this is what I specialize, is everything that is on earth, you need to find out what that means to you, if it's interesting to you. Instead of going, oh, that is so cool, I like that, which one am I of this? No, why are you a part of that? Not which one can I fit into, right? So this is what the moon energy will help you with. So before I get into planets, which he's saying maybe we shouldn't, maybe that's for a different video. Actually, it is. It's for a different video. If you're interested, ask a question. I'll be able to answer that in a future video. But basically, when you are going to sleep, I've been talking about this a lot lately because it's extremely important for people to understand. So when you go to sleep, you basically have a temporary death. And when you wake up, you have a temporary, life, kind of, you're alive. And the reason why this is so is because people don't understand death. They think it's an ending, and everything is cycles. So we basically just shift from cycle to cycle to cycle to cycle to cycle, and the cycles will repeat. And in my old content, I used to tell people that it's not that you don't like the repetition and the repeating, because that's how everything is made on Earth. It's because you don't like the cycle you're in now. You've outgrown it and you're still living in this cycle. So it feels horrible and you can feel the repeat. So the energy of the moon, when you stream from, like I said, we're not getting into planets today unless you do want to know. When you're streaming from the moon is a representation of other energies, just like how gods are translators. So you can think of it like a file that holds, or a flash drive that holds all this information and connects to wherever it's from, and it kind of converts it so it's perfectly streamed for Earth. And so all the beings that you know about that are associated with the moon are usually, in this case, he's kind of a representation of the creator. So his original energy is the creator of the, not creator, but is the energy of the moon that the moon is taking energy from, if that makes sense. But anyway, so basically when we're streaming from that and we're going to sleep, there's a reason why there's a whole chemical process with DMT and the melatonin and all that stuff that happens when you go to sleep. That stuff gets triggered and happens because of the moon, because you're streaming from the moon. It helps your little machine do that process. And what that is the mini death. And the mini death is resorting your POV and your energies where they need to go so that you can do the things that your energy is already doing. Maybe see some stuff, maybe do some shadow work, maybe see someone, a loved one that you haven't seen in a long time, all those kind of things. So the sorting of that is what that moon energy does with cycles. So it's the sorting so that your energies can go to new cycles when you're awake later. So it's 2 steps. It's the sleeping step where you basically are sorting those things, the little mini death. By the way, this happens when you do meditation, and this happens with if you go into trances, or if you're like me where you're living your life like that and you're constantly you're picking up on messages and you're getting more sensitive. That is you dipping into the dream, which everything, a lot of people talk about everything is a dream, but that is why everything is a dream. It's because it's the back and forth. It's like this filter of being a human and then the filter of being not a human, like being all of the different POVs. Being a human is cycle to cycle, and not being a human is basically seeing all of the cycles possible and what cycles you've chosen as a physical one little tiny concentrated being. So when you're asleep like that, all of that process of that modular, which we've talked about modular, the different pieces moving. All those pieces, sorry, I saw an adorable little bird outside, so I'm looking at the bird. All those pieces get rearranged into the way that you want. So, for example, I talked about this in my class. If you look on Patreon, on Patreon, if you look at the classes about astral travel, lucid dreaming, and reality shifting. And I talk about the first class talks about the difference between the two, and they're all the same, but the difference actually with all of them is that your intentions are different and your POV is different. But it's all the same stuff anyway. It's basically the redistribution of your POVs and attention, right? But if you look at that class, you can see how, for example, you're lucid dreaming, you can be another version of yourself, a parallel version of yourself, but you can also have your ego of what you've worked on here. So you know your favorite food, who your lover is, what school you went to. You'll remember and have all that information while you're being that other being, and that can happen when you're sleeping. But that process of which parts are together and which is going on is what's going on. Now, when you wake up, the remembering, that is also part of what he does as well. It's the end of it. So and it's more like it's his wife's job. So Nicole, who has the swan, she will